Okay guys, so welcome back to my channel. So I'm Danae, if you guys don't know, and today I'm going to be filming my November reading wrap up. So obviously it's the end of November, which means reading wrap up time. So I read a total of 7 books this month, and I'm going to be telling you what books I read and what I rated it and kind of like my thoughts about the books. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I read was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, the sequel to Fourth Wing. And if you know, you know that I loved Fourth Wing. I ate it up. That book was so well paced for fantasy. It was so easy to understand. And I was so excited going into Iron Flame. And honestly, this fell a little flat for me. I only rated it 3.5, and here's why. So first, it was kind of just a little slow. The pacing was a little off, I feel like. It was just like things were happening that I feel like didn't need to be in this book, and it's such a big book that like if you have small details like that are important, you kind of get lost. And secondly, the ending threw the whole plot out the window, and that is by far my biggest book pet peeve ever. So just for some context, so you know when you have character development and you have 2 books of character development, and then the last 10 pages of this book, she threw it out the window. She threw the plot out the window. I have no idea where the rest of the story is going to go, and that's just like, you don't do that. Like if you're gonna write a fantasy and it's gonna be a big series, like you have to stay on the plot, because if you don't, like what's the point? It makes me like not want to read the next book, even though I know I am, but like why, you know? So I rated it a 3.5, and again, please take my opinion with a grain of salt. I am not you know, my opinion is not the end all be all. Everyone has their own. I know some people loved it, I know some people hated it. I was kind of in the middle, so do with that information what you will, and let's move on, shall we? Okay, and then I read The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, and if you know, you know that I loved the Off Campus and the Briar U series by Elle Kennedy. Like 2 of my all-time favorite series. Like those series just altered my brain chemistry. I have read The Deal maybe like 5 or 6 times, and this is second generation. So this is her new series, The Campus Diaries, and this is second gen. So this is Gigi, and she is Garrett and Hannah's daughter, and I ate this book up. I loved it. I loved second generation. I loved seeing like Hannah and Garrett as parents. I loved hearing all the off-campus references, and I just had a good time reading it. I laughed, I cried, all of the above. 10 out of 10, 5 stars. The next book that I read was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, and this is her first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. And the thing about Lauren Asher is that she can write a damn book. She is just amazing, and I love her writing and I love her books, and I like don't know what she puts in them to make them like just amazing, but I eat them up every single time. So 5 stars, love. What else do I have to say about it? And then I read The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, and we all know The Hunger Games. We all love The Hunger Games. I did reread that series a couple months ago, and the movie just came out, so naturally I had to read the book before I went to go see the movie. Rated the book a 4. I loved the movie, if anyone cares. And I just love that we got to see President Snow's like backstory, and it like really makes you question if you want to hate him or not. Like this book really gives you sympathy for President Snow, even though we shouldn't have any for him because he's evil. But I love that. I love having conflicting feelings, but 4 stars if I didn't say so already. And then the last books I read were the first 3 books in the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver, and I love Elsie Silver. I loved her Chestnut Spring series. The Gold Rush Ranch is technically her debut series. It kind of read them a little backwards, but it's okay because I read them. So the first book was The first book was Off to the Races, and I rated this one a 4. I loved Billy and Vaughn. These are interconnected standalones if you didn't know, so Billion Vaughn, 4 stars. And then I read A Photo Finish, and this is Violet story, and Violet is the little sister of the Eaton boys, so it was really cool to kind of see her and like her journey like outside of like Chestnut Springs. So I rated this one, I think, a 3.5. And then the next one is The Front Runner, and I rated this one 3 also. And yeah, I still have to read the last one, but I got the first 3 done, so I thought I would rate them for you, tell you about it, and that's my wrap up. That's all the books I read in November. I think that was a total of like 7. And now I'm going to show you my December hopefuls, because why not? It's the end of the year. These are the books that I'm hoping to finish in the year of 2023, because the new year is about to be upon us. So let me show you. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you. All of my December hopefuls are literally all fantasies, and I don't know what to do with that information. So I'm just gonna show you, even though I know for a fact half of these are not gonna be read, because I think I change like my TBR on a daily basis, and like I can never set a TBR for my life. So, you know, what to do? What can you do? Nothing, but it's a thought that counts. So maybe if I film it, it will stick, even though I know it won't. So first is This Duology by Rebecca Ross, because if you know, I love Divine Rivals, and I cannot wait for Ruthless Vows to come out, which comes out at the end of December. So like, will I make it in December? Probably not. But so I have A River Enchanted and A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, and this is a fantasy romance. So if you don't know, Divine Rivals is YA, and this is considered like regular fantasy, so it's a little more age appropriate, if that makes sense, if you get my drift. Then I loved the movies. I have never read the books, which seems like criminal in my opinion, but you know, it's never too late. So it's the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. So I have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant. And I got the pretty 10th anniversary editions, because like these are just like really pretty, and I thought it would look good on the shelf. So when will I read this? Hopefully by the end of the year. Probably not though. The next fantasy series is this one by Nisha Tooley. So it's The Trial of the Sun Queen and The Rule of the Aurora King, and there is supposed to be a 3rd one coming out. I don't know when, so maybe I won't read this until the 3rd comes out, so then I can like read the whole series. But if I do end up reading the first 2, then like pat on the back for me, like thank you. And then this is a YA fantasy that I've had for quite a while, but I've heard like nothing about it. I just like bought it because it's always caught my eye at Barnes every time I've gone. So it's This Duology, Onyx and Ivory and Shadow and Flame by Mindy Arnett, and it's, how do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it, but it's a fantasy and it looked interesting, so on my TBR it's been. And then another series that everyone and their mom has read, I guess, except for me, and I just like haven't gotten the memo, I guess, but I have all the books for some odd reason. It is the Curse for True Love series by Stephanie Garber, and the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber, and I have all 3, and there's just like no amount of like TikToks that can convince me to read this series, but like it's on the TBR like nonetheless, and I know people love them. I know they do. I just like have never been able to read them. It all started because I read the Caraval series, and then the first 2 of this series were already out, so I naturally bought them. And then I was like, oh, the 3rd one's coming out, so like I'll wait until the 3rd one comes out and like I'll read them. Well, I got the 3rd one now, and I still have yet to read them. So like maybe you can bully me in the comments and tell me to read them, and like maybe I'll read them. But that's the December hopefuls, and maybe stay tuned for December, my December wrap up, to let you know if I've read any of the books that are on my list. And if I did, then give me a thumbs up, and if I didn't, don't be surprised because I warned you. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. So, bye!